So when you receive a prophetic word about something in the future, where then is free will, the scriptures show us that the heart of a king is in the hand of God. God has super knowledge, which means that if he were to predict what a man would do, he would be spot on accurate. So does prophecy negate free will? So there are times when it does. For example, the prophet came out and said, by this time tomorrow, a shekel of this shall be sold for thee. And he gave a prophecy. The 4 lepers, those men originally would not want to leave the camp. But the word that the prophet spoke stirred up movement. Something happened that triggered them against their will. So when you receive a prophetic word about something in the future, where then is free will? As I said, this will happen. Where then is free will? All right. So that's a question that I've also gotten asked by a few people saying, if you prophesy was about to happen, you tell, okay, this person is going to do this. So what happens to a man's free will? How do we answer this? The scriptures show us that the heart of a king is in the hand of God. And like irrigation streams, he turns it whatsoever, wheresoever he wills. When Jesus spoke to his boys and told them, saying, go into a town, you will see a man with a jar on his head. And he said, follow him. Where he enters will be a place where we will have our last supper. Now notice, this man, maybe he had a routine of passing that place. Who knows whether that was his regular passageway or if that was the first time he was going to pass by that place. Who knows? What if the man decided that he was not going to go out that day? All right? What if he decided that he was not going to go out that day? Would the prophecy have caught? Here's how I like to see it. God has super knowledge, advanced knowledge. Advanced knowledge, meaning that he knows men in ways that even men do not know themselves, which means that if he were to predict what a man would do, he would be spot on accurate. The reason is that God knows men. So why would God say, this person will betray you? Or like he had prompted Jesus. Was there something Judas could have done about it? The answer is yes and no. Yes, because, well, God has given us free will to say, oh, we're not going to do this. But no, because there was already certain characters. There were characters inside Judas that just made it that he was the one that was going to carry that prophecy on his head. Somebody who has started stealing from the purse will also sell their master. If there is prophecy that somebody should sell their master, it will most likely land on his head. And so he was acting based on his innate desires, which is a desire for money. So he sold his master. If it was prophesied about him, it will not be God pushing him to sell his master. It will be that the word has come and it has landed upon the head of the man who already has a character that looks like the character of someone that will sell his master. I hope you're here with me. So does prophecy negate free will? Not exactly. So there are times when it does. There are times when, for example, see when the children of God were ambushed, and while they were being ambushed and all that, there was no food, the prophet came out and said, by this time tomorrow, a shekel of this shall be sold for this and this and that and that and that. And he gave a prophecy. And one guy said, even if the windows of heaven were open, this cannot happen. So, and then the prophet of God says, you will see it, but you will not eat it. Notice how the prophet speaks a word. When the 4 lepers get to the camp, they notice the camp is empty. Those men originally would not want to leave the camp, but the word that the prophet spoke stirred up movement, either via a noise they heard, either via a vision they saw. Something happened that triggered them against their will to run and leave the camp. Then the lepers were seated and they began to think among themselves, saying, should we advance? Should we retreat? Should we go and die in the hands of our people? Or should we advance where we hopefully may be able to find food? Again, notice the Spirit of God pushing them, moving them in a direction so that his will may be done. So does prophecy counsel free will? My thought is, whatever it is that will stand in the way of the fulfillment of what God has said must be taken away. If your free will stands in the way, it will be taken away. Look at Pharaoh. For example, God told Moses, he said, I will harden his heart, which means that originally Pharaoh may have been more inclined to allowing them go, or maybe after a little bit, maybe it would not have taken as long as that. But Pharaoh keeping them there, the Lord had said he was going to harden his heart. Now, again, there must have been traits inside Pharaoh that made him so suitable for that word to land upon his head. Okay, so as believers, can prophecy affect the free will of a man? The answer is yes. The free will of a man can be terribly affected by prophecy. The things that he wanted to do. What do you think? What do you think happens in the lives of men when maybe a mother is praying for them, saying things like, "You will prosper, you will go far, you'll be all God has called you to be"? What do you think happens? And the kid has made up his mind that he was going to go in a way of destruction. When all of a sudden those words begin to work in his life, it means that prayers, the words have gone ahead and have, through whatever media, the word has gone ahead and has made an impression on him and has caused him, against his previous free will, to now will and desire to follow the Lord. So look at it, says it's God who works in us both to will and to do of his good pleasure. The working of God can affect our will. And the man who God worked in to will and do of his good pleasure must have been a man who didn't will and didn't want to do of God's good pleasure. So can prophecy, maybe that's just answer directly, can prophecy affect a man's free will? The answer is yes. The answer is a mighty yes. Prophecy can go beyond convincing. It can go beyond trying to get people to see or align with you. Some people can say, so person will be president of Nigeria, or so person will be president of so place, because they want to be able to vote for those people. They want to be able to give towards their projects. That one is not prophecy. But prophecy is, this is what the Lord our God will do. This is what God will do. And then the man trusts that whatever is needed, to bring what the Lord our God says we should do, or says will be done, to pass. Whatever is needed will be done. All right, I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Enjoy. What if a prophet sins? No matter what kind, does it affect his ability to receive words from the Lord? So I first said no. So we see in scriptures